in the top lineup, pretty awesome. In Pat Fry's Guts, Chaz in the mid lane, Praedith and Crazy will round out the rest of their roster. And Jake kind of hit on it, right? This is a rebuilding year. Legacy has gone through, over the course of time, they're a team that's been around for a very long time. They've had periods where they've had very strong supportive players. Then they've had periods where they've had very strong carry players, where they have like Claire and Lost. And they've constantly, like, year after year, build their team around X person that still remains. But this is completely new across the board. And I think they've taken some risks. Guts is a player who is a wild card, I will say, for lack of a better word. He's a wild card. And they have a bunch of young upstarts. Praedith you've seen before. Patprize you've seen before. But Praedith in a completely different role.
Some risks.
So they've taken some risks.
Can you please point to the member on that lineup that isn't a risk?
That's what makes it so perfect. It's
so
5 wild cards.
Let's go through them. Paprise was on Tectonic, the team that got relegated and was dropped from that lineup, for Praedith, who then failed the relegation with that lineup and now has moved to a completely new role. Crazy was on Exile 5, the team that got relegated by Tectonic, who then went winless. He's changed to support, and Chaz has never played an OPL game.
Yeah.
Denian is the most mainstay person on that. He's coached one split in the OCS, and he's replacing Soulstrike, the person that could speak Korean and English, and led Legacy to a top 3 finish every split he was on the team.
He also coached League of Origin when Queensland didn't win a single game. Sorry, Rusty. I'm so sorry about that. But like this
is a risky lineup.
Yeah, it definitely is. You're sitting on your high horse, just kind of crapping on everyone right now. It's certainly risky. Risks can pay off.
Can I just say,
but this is...
You've put Bryce in a position where he's now arguing that this team will beat his team. Like,
I have not said that at all. There's no...
What I will say is that the part of this that I have faith in is Legacy. Legacy have never been a bad team. Legacy have always been a good team. So if any organization could make this work, it would be Chiefs, Direwolves, or Legacy. Because they've always been thereabouts. So I do think this team will come together. I think the one thing this team needs is time, because they even had an emergency sub throughout the off-season when their support had to step away from pro play and they had to bring Crazy in. So this is probably the most undercooked team we're going to see today.
That's very true, but I'm banking on management knowing what they're doing and beginner's luck for game field number 1. Of course, they are going up against Gravitas, a.k.a. the Gravy Boys, a.k.a. Bryce's boys. Spawn, I know you didn't say much during the last roster lineup.
Man, a few.
What have you got to say here, mate? How you going?
Take us through Gravitas.
Yeah, they've got the 6'5", Alpha 200 IQ ex-jungler of Mammoth as their coach now in Juves, of course, also the general manager. Parbu, of course, took down Doublelift, rookie, as well as Faker in his off-season.
That's a list.
Quiet one.
That is a
quiet
list and
one for Parbu. Prayless, of course, in the jungle. Harry Kang, their mid laner, someone that I think will be Rookie of the Year. Then Raiden Decoy, obviously the previous bottom lane that used to spank my boys around at the ex-Legacy bottom lane. But this is also an interesting lineup, Bryce, because what you guys have done is you've taken 2 players that came dead last in Avant.
They did not come dead fast.
Yes, they did. Didn't they finish like 8th? 7th. Sorry. Rusty's saying 7th.
You can't be flaming Legacy players for getting relegated in Tectonic and then call AV.
2 boys that came 7th. And then you've got 2 players that are from the Legacy lineup, but were kind of their 2 like mainstay players. And then you brought in a very hard carry mid laner in Harry. That's a lot of pressure to put on a rookie to just pop off every game.
I don't think there's a lot of pressure onto Harry to pop off. I think we have leadership. I think someone that is underrepresented in that regard, or like not known, even for me coming in, is Decoy. I really respect him as a leader. We have Parbu, obviously, he's probably had the most experience with Raid. Those 2 have played together. So we have history along the lineup. Like a lot of these players, bar Harry.
Abyss together,
they've played like Abyss, and like obviously we have 2 AV, 2 Legacy coming in. So this matchup specifically as well is going to be Raid and Decoy versus their old squad in Legacy. Completely different lineup, but versus their old org. So there's certainly going to be some rivalry there. But I think there's not that much pressure on an upstart like Harry, more so than he puts on himself. Right? Any young player coming in, obviously first game, there'll be jitters. There's jitters for absolutely everyone.
Oh, everyone will be nervous.
Every single game of my career
makes every pro player ever nervous.
Yeah, you go in and like there's a little bit of nerve. If you don't have those nerves, then I think you probably don't care enough.
Well, something you do have, though, is Pabu. And you guys can also have, this is a weird segue, your own little bit of Pabu. Let's just roll with that. You can watch the guy who took down Faker, Rookie, and Double Lift because we are showing his point of view perspective on Twitter. It's streaming each game. We're going to pick a different pro player. If you go to our Twitter page, that is at OPL, you can watch their perspective as they play and maybe pick up some tips.
Is he a fast clicker or a slow clicker?
How's his click speed?
I don't know.
What kind of coach are you?
I've been watching, but like I feel like coaching a new team, my focus is not how fast they click their mouse. We've got stuff. We've got cohesion. We've got everything.
Well, you're a quick clicker.
I'm a very quick clicker. I like the back and forward dance in lane when you're doing nothing. Just like the left, right, good night.
For those that don't know what we're talking about, there are people like Bryce that will move really quickly. Even when they're dead, they're like hitting like control, escape, tab, like stuff's flashing all over the screen.
Escape.
And then watching Schernfire play the game is like watching an old man play League of Legends. He like clicks his ability and then like precisely locates it on the screen.
But I tell you what, Schernfire, each click, you probably
really
get some
matters.
value.
Yeah. It's not the quantity, it's the quality. And speaking of quality, let's throw it over to the caster's desk with Benji and Rusty.
Thanks, Nick Boy. I'm Benji, and I'm joined by Zach Rusty Pie for the first game of OPL 2019. Back in Australia, Rusty.
Yeah, back in Australia. Happy to be back home, of course, working with AV as the couch so kindly mentioned before. And I think this is more of a dream come true moment for you, Benji. There's been a lot of times where we've worked with you for a while now, and I think this is the first moment where I Can Cast has actually come true, and we've found a space for you.
I've been working behind the scenes for like 5.5 years here, and I've always threatened the casters, hey, you know, I could jump on and cast, and it was always a sort of hollow threat. Now it's a real threat, so, you know, put up, or else I'll be taking your long-time job.
Yeah, excited to see how you go here as well, Benji. Of course, you've casted for a while.
For any of your viewers, we'll have Pyrotechnics coming in week 3. For week 1 and 2, we'll be having some substitute casters coming through. Myself and Vandy will be on today, and you'll see her for another game later today. For now, we're casting our first game, Gravitas versus Legacy Rusty.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? The couch has run us through it, but what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the couch has basically summarized a couple of things here with the rosters themselves. We haven't looked too much at the matchup just yet, and for me, there is a lot of question marks that need to be answered. First of all, it's week 1, and the biggest thing that everyone at home needs to know is of the rosters, there's 5 starting players on a team, so about 40 players in total. We're not including subs here. 33 of them have shifted between the season. That is ridiculous as to how many have shifted. So when you look at rosters, all we really have is like the perceptions on, you know, how good or bad can they actually be. And we don't know yet until you start to see them play on the Rift in this first week.
Yeah, you've seen them as individuals, obviously, over the years. A lot of the players are returning. But like you said, is this the most our rosters have shaken up in the history of the OPL? I feel like it's got to be up there.
I feel like if we looked at the percentage, it may be the most globally ever for a league shift in terms of players. Like 33 out of 40 is very significant a number. So definitely a lot has moved this time around.
Yeah, I'm excited as well. All these players, obviously, we know how good they are, but there's more to the game than just being good at clicking your buttons. You need to be able to get that cohesion with your teammate, communication, all those skills are something that we don't know if they have. And that's what these first few game days for me are really exciting to see how the teams come together and how they can work on the Rift strategically, not just individual sort of macro-wise.
Of course, there's so much that comes into it, right, that goes beyond what you can even do with clicking the mice. First and foremost, it's the first time some of these players will be on stage playing League, and will the nerves affect them as we get into this draft is something that we need to discover.
Absolutely. We are in a champion select of our first game of the OPL in 2019 is Legacy versus Gravitas. Legacy of the blue side for this first game, and Gravitas have the red side. First ban coming through Carthus and answered by Cassiopeia. So we're seeing majors come off the board very quickly here, Rusty.
Yeah, for those who haven't been watching too much competitive League of Legends yet, or if the OPL is just the league for you, Cassiopeia is always taken off the board. Such a strong champion right now, and Gravitas wastes no time in removing that pick. It's the bans that come after that do make you very curious, because flex picks are very highly prioritized.
There's the Lissandra and the Lucian come off the board as well. So you mentioned Cassiopeia are banned now, and like you said, might see more throughout the day. You want to explain what about it is very strong and why it's coming off the board?
I mean, at the moment, the reason that Cassiopeia just seems to be so insanely broken is that she goes in multiple lanes, and with Qmax Cassiopeia, you don't even touch the E really. 1 point and it's all you need. Nothing beats it. Nothing can trade with it. You just lose the game when it's there. It's one of those picks that just comes up sometimes. It's just too strong.
Absolutely. This is the last bands coming through. Galio and Aatrox coming off the board there. And the first pick looks like it is locked in as Sejuani, the jungler picked up most likely for Guts there. So you spoke about flex picks there, Rusty, and I've been hearing a little bit of talk in the offseason about flex picks. And a lot of people have been saying that this is sort of the future of where League is, where you want to pick these solo laners that can be flexed into other lanes. Have you been seeing that as well?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely changes the dynamic of drafting too. Flex picks, being able to pick them early doesn't show your hand, and that's the most important part of why flex picks exist. And that's a big part of when you look at this first draft so far. Legacy, they prioritize the Sejuani option, not necessarily known as a flex. There has been whispers in the ether of Sejuani going into other roles, but we haven't seen that yet in a competitive game. Urgot is always the one that you would look at when Aatrox is off the board, so it's curious to see Legacy's priority here so far.
Absolutely, looks like the Urgot's been picked up. Could be for Pabu. We've seen it a little in the mid lane as well. It's just the 2 roles for Urgot right now. We won't see it anywhere else, and looks like the Lee Sin being locked in, most likely for Prayless as well. I don't want to lock in any roles yet, but most likely the jungle for him. But I'd love to see some crazy stuff that makes me sort of be cautious here.
There should be Lee Sin in the jungle. Prayless is one of those aficionados of the champion as well, and that's the thing with Lee Sin. If you're locking it in, Week 1 of the OPL in day 1, you're confident. That has to be a confidence pick, and we'll get to see that confidence coming out of Prayless on the Rift, because if it's not there, the whole team may suffer.
Yep. I'm also curious to see how this draft shapes out, where the priority lies for each of these teams. We haven't seen these teams play yet, so we don't know whether they play more to the top side of the map. You look at someone like Pabu, very great individual as we've seen in the offseason. Does Gravitas lean there and try and win through that top side or maybe through the middle? And you can kind of tell in the draft what they're thinking about. They have picked Urgot, which is, towards that top side, obviously getting him on a strong power pick. And also the counter picks are important too. Braum, Akali locked in for Legacy, and that looks like probably a support, definitely a support for Braum, and most likely I'd say mid lane Akali.
Yeah, most likely mid lane Akali. One thing that both mid laners of this game have in common is that they love themselves some assassins here and there. So you've got Hayri, you've got Chaz, they can play the assassins and they do it well, and we'll see how the compositions revolve around them. As we've already got the Akali, and there's the immediate response of the LeBlanc assassins we see.
Absolutely, LeBlanc responded, as Rusty pointed out. Now we're in the second ban phase. As we look to see what's up, both AD carries open, so we might see a few bans go towards that role. Looks like we're missing a support on Gravitas side.
I would expect AD carries, especially from Gravitas, to start banning away. I think that, Praedyth is someone who is just role swapped, and in my mind, if you're a new player that's just role swapped, it's very hard to jump into a new role and to learn all of the champions in that. Speaking from experience, swapping from mid to support, usually you pick one, you get really good at it, and then you start to learn the rest. And with Lucian gone, maybe the Gravitas feel like that's all they need to do, but they could ban AD carries as well to really hit that home. Yeah,
they also do have the first pick in the next phase as well, so they could ban out, pick something away, and then have a good sort of answer for a lot of things. Ryze has been picked off, and Rakan, the answer. Obviously, with Legacy picking up their support already, support bans, which is value for them. It's not hurting themselves at all. It's sort of restricting what Decoy is going to be playing in this game.
Yeah, and with Rakan gone, Xayah also loses priority as an AD carry of choice, so the 2-for-1 ban there coming out of Legacy. We'll see where Gravitas go here with the response. Ryze still potentially a flex pick that has been taken from the Legacy roster. They could have had the Akali and the Ryze going between lanes. Aurelia is the exact same thing. So they've removed all of the remaining flex picks, it feels like anyway, away from Legacy, really limiting their draft options.
That's interesting actually, because Gravitas have kind of locked in their solo laners already. So picking away flex picks I think is very interesting, because Legacy are going to get kind of whatever counter pick they want here. They can throw Akali against either the Urgot or the LeBlanc and then pick something for the other lane. So that's curious. We'll see how that works out for them. Alistar is the final ban here for Legacy, picking on that support role. We'll have to see what Decoy picks up here. They might leave that for last pick or pick it up here. The AD carry or support, what we're looking at here for Gravitas. And then Legacy will picking up AD carry, and then either mid or top, depending on where they want to put the Akali.
Yeah, not just picking on supports, though. Picking on engage and tanky supports away from Decoy. It pushes him down in priority champions towards the Morgana. No AD carries to be seen with it just yet. Caitlyn Morgana is, of course, a duo, and we'll see where Legacy go in terms of responding to that if they want to take it away. Maybe they don't want to lose priority down in that bottom lane, especially with a Sejuani and a Braum in the comp. Morgana is a pretty value pick here from Gravitas.
Yep, great for disengaging or picking. You can work it both ways. Looking over at Legacy, obviously AD carry is what they're looking for next, and they do lock in the Kai'Sa. So a bit more of a carry-oriented AD carry there. You're looking at the Caitlyn as something that would work well with Morgana. They opted not to pick away with that, so that's obviously open for Raid if he wants to play towards that. But the Kai'Sa picked up for Praedyth, and there you go, the Syndra picked up most likely for Chaz there. So Akali moving to the top lane, from what I can tell, Syndra in the mid lane. They obviously put some shenanigans and try and make a better roll out of it. That's what we're looking at here. And Gravitas, with full knowledge of this lineup, gets to sort of look at what they want to play now. So I'm curious, actually, Syndra into LeBlanc, how's that go?
At the moment, when you look at this matchup, you have to remember that Legacy picked specifically for it as well. Sivir, of course, a lock in here from Gravitas to round out the roster, but Syndra into LeBlanc has got some pretty unique interactions. If Syndra plays it really well and finger on the pulse, can stop the distortion from going forwards, can cancel the damage out that comes from that. And a lot of LeBlanc's combos do actually come from that through early laning phase. So there is a chance that the Syndra can get some priority in that lane, and that could open up the floor here for Guts to get around the map on that Sejuani and start really making some pressure points around, as the composition of Legacy does want to keep themselves in the game early, or they run the risk of being steam trained over.
Absolutely. We've got a bit of a interesting comp from Gravitas, because the Sivir gives you a team engage, essentially. You can pop that ult and go in. I find that interesting because Legacy kind of denied a lot of those engaged supports away from Decoy. Maybe worried about getting engaged on, but they've kind of, I feel like they've kind of adapted here, picked up the Sivir, and they've got another way to sort of get onto Legacy and stop and sort of start those engages when they want to fight them, essentially. So I thought it's kind of clever.
Definitely. When you look at the compositions, the engage for Gravitas is something that isn't to be feared, so to speak, but they have got options available. A Morgana binding, a Lee Sin kick, it's all there. Urgot, if he gets on a target, with Sivir pushing him forwards as well. Righteous Glory usually picked by an Urgot, so moves very quickly. Whereas on the other side for Legacy, they've got a lot of engage. The hard part comes into how do these champions and team compositions interact with one another, because there's 2 spell shields already on the Gravitas roster. They're very hard to lock down with that engage.
Yeah, very much so. So I want to look at these rosters overall, Rusty, while we're sitting here waiting for the game to jump into. Where are the win conditions across the board here? Like, what are these teams looking to do here?
For me, when I look at Legacy's composition, they've got a carry in the top lane. They've got carries in all 3 lanes, basically, right? And then they've got a Sejuani and a Braum as big facilitating champions. The double 4-stack stun combo out of those 2. I would expect what they do is they bring those 2 champions together, try and influence the map, try and get some picks, get some things done together. Pick a lane, snowball that lane, make it too strong, and that should be one of their biggest ways into winning the game.
Absolutely. We're on to the Rift. Game 1 of OPL 2019. It is Legacy versus Gravitas. As we move on to the Rift, looks like we've got a pretty standard start so far, with players spreading out, guarding the invade paths. They want to not start with a level 1 invade here and maybe throw the game at the 1 minute mark.
No, I think it's fair to be safe on your first game.
I agree. It'd be a shame if you got home after the first day. And what do we learn from today? Well, we shouldn't invade level 1 without vision. That kind of stuff kind of throws the game.
Not a good lesson to take home, that's for certain. Of course, you want to get your feet wet. You want to do it right. First time here for both of these teams. Legacy, full new roster. Gravitas, a full new team and roster at that. So definitely a slow start expected as they ramp up into the game. Yeah,
I think the one person I want to keep my eye on in this game is actually Guts. You mentioned, obviously, that Crazy and Guts are going to be facilitating this early game and probably mid and late game for these other 3 carries. How Guts can work around the map and keep his lanes going so they can get to that point where they are killing the people. That's a key part of this game, because if you look at Lee Sin, on that other side, I tend to see a lot of invades, a lot of early fighting from him, Rusty.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a skirmish jungler in the Lee Sin. Not the best of matchups into Sejuani unless the Q doesn't get cancelled.
Oh, they ran to the bush, blind push. Free damage out there.
Yeah, it's a good start to level 1 here from Gravitas. NA team. Oh boy.
We'll see
That's going to happen, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to happen a few times. It's going to be a few slip-ups. We'll get it right. This bot lane here, a little bit of a disadvantage there for Legacy, but, it's not that bad. They should be fine in this lane.
Yeah, overall the lane will slow down. You look towards the junglers naturally in the early stages of the game. If the Lee Sin can get some ganks off, if Guts can do the same, is always going to be the question.
So we've got Praelis moving into the mid here. Level 2. Chaz here does stop the distortion, like you mentioned. He's coming in here. Tether comes down, but flashes out. Does get stopped under turret, but escapes, but did pop the flash there. So Praelis potentially a revisit here soon.
Absolutely. If you're that Lee Sin, a big target comes on top of the head of the mid laner of Legacy and Chaz with that flash gone. But at the end of the day, still plays it decently well, Chaz, to push back the LeBlanc, prevent any further damage, and only has to use 1 potion in the trade. So whilst the risk of dying is still present, still definitely there, has got to sustain to stay in lane for a little bit longer. Usually Guts will then probably hover around the area, maybe place a ward and try and help out.
Yeah, these jungle paths will be interesting for a little bit, but for now, obviously, the interesting thing I want to point out as well is these junglers have started opposite sides of the map, so we won't see, I don't think we'll see that level like 2 or 3 sort of fight in top lane where there's 2 players on each side. But we're going to see junglers sort of approaching lanes, and for now at least, there won't be an answer from the enemy jungler on the same side of the map.
No, just the handshake, just the vertical jungling to be seen so far. Usually means that they'll get their full clears if they want. They'll go towards the higher levels in the game, and both of these junglers do love themselves a level 6. So that could be the place that we see both of them start to really hard stack towards with that experience. Top side's actually the other place, Benji, that I think we should quickly touch upon as well. It's not just the POV stream for Pabu on Twitter. It's also Pabu, the man that has solo killed a bunch of famous names around the world. We'll see if he can move that 1v1 prowess, however, to the 5v5 court where it really counts.
Exactly. Obviously, in the 1v1, there's no junglers coming in. There's no, there's a lot of things that you don't factor in here. Actually, we've got a bit of a fight mid here. Hayuri sort of does thoughts forward, but Guts there, ready to defend. Looks like it's just fended away. But I agree with top lane. I think it will be fascinating to see how Pabu plays this game. Does Poprise give him more or less respect after what he's done at All-Star? I'd like to see how he plays that lane too.
I would hope that there's no mentals that come into this.
Flash forward. Hayuri goes in, misses his combo. Lee Sin coming in. This is a 2v2. Chains goes out. Lee Sin gets targeted down. Ignite goes down. He's trying to get out. Flash forward by Guts, and that's first blood for Legacy.
Yeah, the flash from LeBlanc. I'm hoping we're going to see a replay. Top lane also going to fight each other, but at the end of the day, it's just a 1-for-0 trade. Guts picks up that first blood of the OPL for 2019 as well. Big start for the jungler of Legacy.
Absolutely big start. Papara sort of getting poked down in the top lane here. Urgot, sorry, not Udyr. Very muscly, very strong at pushing you back if you get into the wrong position against him. Kind of very good at zoning you out from waves. He's muscly. He's a big guy.
He's very muscled out.
You know, when you got that many legs to carry those muscles. Anyway, Rusty, here's the first fight.
Yeah, we can see the flash distort there from Hayuri. I think he was trying to predict something, but at the end of the day, LeBlanc's damage output in this trade was non-existent. There's a chance they could have traded if the chains connected, if the flash distort maybe hit the mark, but nothing to be seen this time from Gravitas. A little bit of stage nerves, perhaps.
A little bit of stage nerves. That bind barely misses Praedyth there, but Crazy was in position. Interesting thing I want to point out is we do have an Infernal Drake first here, so that's an objective that I think both teams are looking at right now. And if you start getting advantages in the mid and the bot lane, you might see a team look to put a bit of pressure there and take that objective.
Always going to be on the mind, of course, when there is an Infernal Drake. When these teams get the moment to go towards it, definitely the question that we'll need to see answered. Nice little bind.
Great bind, yep. A little bit of damage on Praedyth. And the bot lane here with Morgana and Sivir is going to obviously outpoke the Kai'Sa, who's a bit more late game oriented and a melee brawn.
Yeah, they love pushing in a Morgana and a Sivir. Morg with the W as well can place it on the back wave. Sivir, even without trying, tends to clear minions faster than any other AD carry if left unattended. So the push will continue. A CS lead is growing in mid lane once again.
Yeah, Lee Sin coming in. Stun goes down. Root. Here comes Guts for the counter. Lee Sin goes in and does pick up the kill. And he's going to get away with his life as well. W back to Hayuri. And that's just a straight kill for Lee Sin.
Yeah, barely escapes as well. Praedyth plays it incredibly well. Hayuri just going to get some damage down and try and push the wave forwards. Gravitas get the return kill. And they get themselves back on the board, so confidence may be restored. Because at the start there, Chaz being level 6, that looks super risky.
It did, and Lee Sin went very deep, and I was kind of I'm not sure if he had the damage, but he did make it happen. I thought he'd die 1 for 1, but he didn't. Anyway, the spot lane here, pushing in. They've taken one of those shields, one of get a bit of gold from those.
Turret plating, yeah.
Plating, yes. That's a word.
Piece of plating off there. 80 a piece as well to go between them. Lots of gold to be seen on turret plating as well in 2019. Early pushes, early forced recalls as well, like you're about to see, cost so much more than a missed minion wave now. It can cost a legitimate money into the pockets of their opponents.
Yep.
And they're going to miss that 160.
They might miss this one, actually. Yeah, they did. That's missed gold.
EGM, come on, mate.
Yeah, the turret plating worth quite a bit. 80 obviously on 2. It's 160.
That was 160 that he could have recalled next to.
That's a couple of potions and a vision ward. Anyway, Paprise here clearing out vision in his top side. This top side's been left alone a bit. It seems fairly even. The CS is kind of even in the mid lane here. Hayuri just doing a bit of poke. Guts is here to clear out a pink ward. I'm curious about this top lane. If this goes even, does that benefit either player?
I mean, more often than not, you'll see an Urgot picked as kind of like a diffusal pick. If he gets ahead, then obviously it's very scary. He does a lot of damage, you know. Very muscle-bound man with many legs, but also quite robotic. Yeah, he can be very scary to deal with when he is ahead, but usually he just likes to hold it down. You know, he's super relevant in the mid-game. They get those first big team fights off, and that's where he starts to scale up. And it's a similar thing for Akali, honestly. You want level 6, you want your first big item.
Junglers are making their way around the middle side here. You got Sejuani parking out there, so looking for something on Hayuri.
Level 6.
Level 6, looking for something. If Syndra hits a stun, it can combo into something. There's the jump forward. Tether goes down. But no, Hayuri just jumps back. Guts not able to make anything happen there.
And you feel like there might have been an opportunity for Guts to go forwards there, but they opt for the safe route. However, after not finding that opportunity, he's going to walk it through the middle lane and show himself to go and protect his own jungle camps. prevent Praylist from getting that red, perhaps? As we'll see where Praylist goes here.
It's like he's going for the red buff here. This bot lane is shoved in very far, and there's no vision around this. They know about this as well from, I imagine that 3 people missing from lanes probably gives it away, but no vision, not able to walk in there and take it. This should be a free Inferno here.
They see it's being done.
Yeah.
Well, they know it's not in the pit, rather, but they can't see the HP because it was a good pull out there by Praylist. Yep. The Kaiser W just barely missing as well.
Yeah, barely. Just a bit of a Hail Mary. Sometimes you get lucky with those, but not often. Okay. It's a Inferno Dragon for Gravitas, and that's from their early pressure bot lane.
Yeah, and mid lane having priority at that exact moment. 4 people able to leave makes it very hard for anyone to walk up and have a look. You know, are they able to do this? Is the question you find out the hard way once it's secured.
Yeah, looks like blue buff are being transferred. The classic jungler gets the first one, but the mid laner gets the second one that we see a lot in pro play that you don't see in solo queue too much.
And at 9 minutes in, it does feel like we are getting that slower paced start to the League of Legends season here in the OPL, and it's not a big surprise. We mentioned that you might want to get your sea legs and ease into the season for sure, but what you can tell from these comps, and something that is definitely worth noting, is it will be explosive when they meet them, you know, when they have that action-packed fight. Something's got to give, or this bottom lane turret will just go down from the Sivir and the Morgana pushing. You know, something's got to happen here with the Sejuani. Or there's a chance that nothing happens and they just start to fall too far behind. Yeah,
14 minutes is when that turret plating goes away. And it's not often you see a turret taken before that mark. It's obviously a very one-sided lane when that happens. But honestly, with 4 minutes left, this bot turret could be a threat. At the very least, they want to get that last plating just to really maximize the gold on that turret.
Yeah, certainly. I've got until 14 minutes to do so as well, for those of you that watch League of Legends and don't actually play it. A lot of us actually, surprisingly.
Line goes down. This is a nice poke. That is what Morgana does. You put a target in the spot, and then anyone that's got a skill shot, just throw it at it, nice and easy.
And Crazy not quite there to defend it either. One thing that, you know, we have to highlight, given the state of this bottom lane, is that Praedyth and Crazy are both new to the roles that they are in, respectively. Crazy, subbing in for the bottom lane, is an AD carry player, so filling the shoes of other players past, now has to try and step up for the team, and is not having the best experience so far. Praedyth also swapping positions as well coming into this. And with 2 role swap players against the bottom lane that has been together for a very long time, I wouldn't say that I'm shocked by this outcome. The champions do influence it, however.
The champions definitely do influence it there. That first turret falling at 10 minutes and 40 seconds. What I am curious about this bot lane from Legacy is how they evolve over the season. Right now, they don't look like the strongest, but with the training, with the time living in the team house, can they become formidable? Can their champion pool maybe expand a bit? Can they bring something to the role? They are from other roles, obviously, top lane and AD carry for Crazy, but you know, maybe that helps them in some ways. Maybe they learn something from those roles that you don't get as an AD carry.
Absolutely.
That'll be an interesting thing to explore over the next few weeks.
It'd be good to track them as time
Ooh,
passes.
mid lane, Hayri just 1v1 kill by Syndra. That is not something we see every day, but there you go, Chaz.
Yeah, just chazzing it up in the mid lane. Finds Hayri, the cleanse, not able to save his life. It's not something that'll stop the raw damage that a Syndra can throw on top of your noggin. So takes him down pretty simply there in the end. Not even level 11 needed from the Syndra.
No, he's shoving this mid lane down. He already got one of that turret plating. He's going to get a lot of gold for this kill. Obviously the kill, and then a couple of, maybe second one of these if he's a bit lucky. Lee Sin trying to fend him off there. In the meantime, Sejuani is heading towards the bot. They've done a lane swap. The bot turret's dead, so Pabu's swapped to the bot lane here. And Legacy coming through. They're looking to power this turret down to try and catch up.
Yeah, an early ward from Pabu, though, detects where the jungler of Legacy is. Same thing from Paprise here, sees the bottom lane. Raiden Decoy choosing not to push the turret, maybe not enough minions, I am not too sure. We'll move straight to the Herald, seeing the Sejuani on the opposite side of the map. And with the turret plating still alive for another 2 minutes, a Herald play is worth a lot of cash money if you can get that one in the right spot.
Yeah, it's very fascinating watching how this game's changed. Like that bot turret has turned into top priority because they've shoved the lane out, which means they've gotten Rift Herald. So they're looking to take that bottom advantage and really rotate it across the map into where the objectives are. There's no dragon to take, so they can leave bot lane for free.
It is a gamble though, Benji. That's the thing. You could take the free gold of the top lane trade. You know you'll push faster. The risk is that the Herald maybe doesn't get the correct placement, but you have to trust the players' decisions here that they'll get more from it. They'll still get some time to push in this top lane, another couple of waves.
Yep.
Akali's not very good at dealing with pushes like this, has to really push herself forwards and maybe even use the Shroud aggressively just to keep the minions cleared. We'll see.
Yeah. She's got to avoid those bindings. She gets hit by a binding there, and she can find her health drop very quickly, especially with this Lee Sin sort of hanging around the area. He's got decent enough vision. He kind of knows what's going on in this area, but Paparazzi in a bit of an awkward situation. The other side of the map, Pabu kind of in a similar position, but without the jungler nearby, not as threatened.
Yeah, his tower's already gone as well, so now a bit more freedom to push forwards, maybe look towards pushing that one out and disappear from the lane. Doesn't have teleport currently, is running some ARAM summoner spells, but that's what you get with an unsealed spellbook on your Urgots. Occasionally it happens.
Yep, Cleanse and Ghost, the classic ARAM
It is
summons.
hard to die when you've got Cleanse and Ghost, though, when you look at your opponents. Sejuani ult does nothing to you now.
True.
They can't dive him as well, and he's got a lot of resistances in that build.
He does. The Mountain Dragon just spawning. That is probably the next objective on the map, with turret plating dropping in about 20 seconds time. Pabu is going to start it up, and Lee Sin and the Sivir are coming down to clean this up. Might be a second dragon here for Gravitas.
There should be, too, a lot of tempo in their advantage. They've got the Herald still available, and the Kai'Sa is pushing to the top lane. I think that might be the last bit of plating you get because they're about to fall off, but still the turret trades. This is a gold influx, a second plating even from Trader, that they're trading for Legacy. They're not going to contest the Dragon, they're going to try and get the gold of the top lane turret. The Gravitas doing two things at once may make a better play overall.
They get the Dragon. Next Dragon is Mountain. The Rift Herald was just dropped in the mid lane as well, so that's going to come charging in. Looking to break open this mid lane. Wine goes out, does catch the Akali. That charge does go down too. There are 4 people here. They're probably not going to get too much with that. No, that just dies, gets a charge. But like you said, actually, that didn't really amount to much gold.
No, it doesn't amount to gold. They get the Mountain Dragon, however, so they take the objective at the least. Praedyth also rotated, however, from top lane all the way to mid to help them defend, perhaps assuming the Gravitas would be looking for a dive in that middle lane. They don't find the dive, and if they were going to, then Legacy would have been well equipped. But during that time, he could have potentially still pushed the top lane, could have potentially still looked for that top lane outer turret. He chooses not to.
Chooses not to, you're right. The turret is quite low on the top there. The gold right now is actually in Legacy's favor. They've got the extra kill on the board, and they've probably got a couple extra turret plating from that top lane. But the power I really want to highlight is the dragons. The Inferno and the Mountain, they're not dragons to scoff at, right? It's not like you get an Ocean Dragon for late game. They're not
they're
useful.
pretty good, hey.
They're good ones. So there's hidden power on that Gravitas side, and if they were to get the next Mountain Dragon, they're going to have a lot to work with, even if the gold doesn't sort of tell a full story.
But I will say, at 15 minutes into this game, I reckon Nick Boy's sitting backstage. And right now, because I'm mentioning it, he'll look up at the gold difference and be shocked to see that Legacy is in the lead and maybe giggle at Ejim.
This is anyone's game, though.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely anyone's game. I can see both teams winning this from here. I can see a team getting a lead and throwing a lead from here. Like, this is going to go into a very interesting place. And I think in the next couple of minutes, we're going to see something happen. There's going to be an objective or a fight or a turret that goes down or gets fought over.
I will say, though, you have to remember that this is pretty much dead time on the Rift. There's outer turrets available. They are the big objectives still remaining, but there is no Dragon, there is no Herald, and we've got to wait 4 minutes until the Baron comes up as the next major objective or piece of priority on the map. So the next play that happens on Summoner's Rift will be towards Champions or an outer turret. They're harder to execute on. They require a little bit more setup and a bit more thought or time put into them. So we'll see how they go here as Gravitas are preparing themselves for the top lane outer.
Yep, warding up that top jungle, making it very hard for Legacy to collapse in without vision. There goes the stun. Does quite a bit of damage, actually, but with that sort of members rotating to the top here, that turret's going to drop, and that's it's a second turret there for Gravitas.
Demolish able to hit that one home. A lot of supports at the moment running Demolish in their rune, just as a point of note. Of course, Guardian is the keystone of choice for Decoy. Most Morganas now love themselves a bit of Guardian.
That mid lane is where they're going to start looking now. It's the last outer turret left for Gravitas. And obviously, Legacy have the mid turret. There's also that top turret there. They were chipping at it earlier. Ooh, nice bind. This Morgana is hitting a few binds on point, you know. A few more members come through into this lane. Praedyth gets hits again. He can actually blow up very quickly, so this could be very cautious.
Decoy's bloody warmed up, I reckon. Morgana blind. Don't look at that one, though. It was a zoning one.
Absolutely a zoning blind.
Oh, Paprise. That's real far.
Wow, Pabu's way out of position here. He's getting caught. So's Paprise. Paprise goes down, and Pabu walks it out. That's a free kill there for Gravitas. It's looking to rotate here. Crazy puts his ult down and does disengage the rest of his team.
Yeah, when both top laners get caught to the rest of the team, you know, I would rather have an Urgot than an Akali in that situation. How quickly Paprise goes down. He's also not running Flash in his Akali. He is running the Ignite teleport top lane, so needed to use that ultimate and get himself out to safety, but just didn't find the opportunity, it seems. Killed way too quick.
Yeah, that Blast Plant kind of sent both of them into their enemy teams there. So, yeah, be curious to see what Gravitas can do. Obviously, Paprise only just spawning on the map. Actually, they don't really get much for that. They get the gold from the kill, but they get a bit of push in lanes. That's about it. I think that something that Legacy did there that I thought was quite clever is after they had disengaged that play, they went mid and just shoved that lane out quickly. So that stops Gravitas from being able to push into the mid and get like any sort of damage onto that turret.
Yeah, they move to the next best objective, or the closest one that Gravitas would look towards, prevent them from getting that done.
Yep. Looks like we're
going to have a bit of a lull here, I do think, Benji. And it may last for a little while. Even when Baron spawns, I don't think either of these teams would be confident enough to look at it too much. There's no substantial lead. Usually that's required to make the play. It is outer turrets. In mid lane, the outer turrets are very important for getting access to that river control. It's just too easy as the defending team, if you have that outer turret there, to just walk up and get some free vision down. So those tend to come first, and this next dragon in 25 seconds will likely be the biggest target overall.
It's the objective. Pabu taking a bit of poke and CC there, but he's a big boy. He's actually jumping forward here. Crazy taking a bit of damage. They're looking to engage. There's the ult coming down. Raid does spell shield it, does avoid it, and disengages.
Yeah, Sejuani having a pretty bad day on Summoner's Rift for the composition. Praedyth
goes down very low. Ooh, the spike comes out there from Pabu. Looking to catch Praedyth, but does miss Nick Crazy. That's going to give them priority here in this lane, and this Mountain Dragon might be the third for Gravitas.
You saw the recall feigned there by Paprise as well. A clear indicator that no one from Legacy is looking towards this objective whatsoever. They have to concede it because of the damage that they took, and that does give the second Mountain Dragon over to them. And this red side team, Gravitas looking very, very strong, especially with the Baron buff now up and 2 Mountain Dragons to accelerate that tank.
Yeah, those Mountain Dragons are going to assist quite a bit with taking that Baron, like you said. Also, if they can get free time on a turret, that Sivir's going to chew that thing up with 2 Mountain Dragons. So
sure.
Legacy right now have to be really clever with their rotates, have to be in the right spots. If they get out-rotated and they get the Sivir onto a turret, it's going to melt, and they're going to start losing that gold lead they've got right now.
Yeah, it's all about setting up your vision perhaps in advance if you can. Get somewhere before your opponents do, pick them out. You got a Sejuani into a Morgana and a Sivir. You're not having the easiest time selecting your targets, so that's where vision is a big priority for them. They need to throw it out of Fog of War. And they tried just before, but Raid, he was ready.
Absolutely. We said earlier on the game, actually, that Legacy is built around sort of Guts Crazy doing that double 4-stack thing. Haven't seen much of that so far. I feel like the Morgana's done very well at helping them keep that distance away from them. So I'm kind of curious if that's going to start turning on as this game progresses, or if they might have to start looking for split pushes or something else through a Kali.
It kind of does the opposite the further the game goes. You know, it is a dangerous duo. Definitely having the double stun combo there is a big deal. But it gets harder and harder to hit as the game progresses. You have to look at the carries now of the Legacy roster. As we crest over the 2-item mark, as teams start to get to that point, even 3, you've got champions like a Kai'Sa that can 1v9 team fights if fed enough.
Yep.
You've got a Syndra that can one-hit someone if she finds the correct target. You've got a Kali that's an assassin as well. So it's so much more about those 3 and how they can get the damage down, while a Sejuani and a Braum is standing in front.
Absolutely. Obviously, on the other side, Pabu's starting to become pretty big. We've seen him in a few fights get caught out and just be able to walk it out. So he's going to be a tough front line to break down. It's kind of a hard one to run past as well. As Paprise having a bit of trouble just sitting toe-to-toe with him. But Pabu giving him a bit of respect, a bit of space. Actually, Paprise going in here, looking to do some damage. You know, just a little bit of a trade and backs away.
Yeah, I mean, at this stage, you can look up, you can be aggressive, you can try and alpha Pabu out of the lane, but he's still an Urgot that's not going to take too much damage. It's just about who can clear the minions faster, usually, and that's one thing that Akali will outscale the Urgot on just a little bit more. Better lane control. However, Gravitas are definitely outperforming on the rotations, on the movements around the map, on the vision and the setup, on all of the above, getting those objectives.
So that mid turret does fall there. Syndra just not quite in the right place. Didn't quite have the wave clear, and with those 2 Mountain Drakes, that turret falls very quickly. Now the question is
giving them the gold, Benji. Every time I look at the map, I see Gravitas getting another objective. The gold's still staying the same.
It is. It's there's a lot of CS here that's sort of helping with that. The kills are even. But the gold's the same, but the power is definitely with Gravitas. Those 2 dragons, or 3 dragons actually. There's a lot of scary sort of stats and stuff behind the scenes that aren't reflected in that number.
Absolutely. Control of the map, momentum, big things in League of Legends. And those are 2 of the things that Gravitas does, in fact, have. Through the rest of this game, you would expect until something shifts. And I guess past that point as well, I wonder if Legacy recognize that they are still well and truly with a fighting chance in terms of gold difference. Because when you're down this many outer turrets, you still feel like you're further behind than you may actually be.
So if you're Gravitas, you just killed the first turret here in mid. What are you looking for now? What's the next play?
I mean, you very easily just want to set up lines of vision and use your composition to get picks. It's hard to do with their composition, like we mentioned, through draft. There's no immediate start to team fight. It requires some finesse, you know, Praedyth making a big play. But what they can do with control of the map like this is just get vision, hit a Morgana binding, and that target is most likely dead. If they get stuck in a team fight, just play front to back, kill the closest target. Sivir usually shreds everyone by doing so anyway. That's what you'd be looking at here. You can let Legacy come to you, honestly. Yeah.
Obviously, they can start moving that water line deeper in as well and keep that vision in the jungle. Anytime Morgana's sort of able to get blind... Ooh, there's blind come out. Praedyth, I feel like he's just a bit of a magnet for Decoy. Decoy's sort of honed in on Praedyth. Every time I see a bind come out, it's generally towards him.
Makes a lot of sense. Oh, wow, on Sivir ultimate.
Coming for Pabu flanks, actually. They've caught in. Crazy's gotten caught here. He's taking a ton of damage. Fear Beyond Death comes through, and that's a massive fear. 2 go down. It's a 2 for 2 so far. The flank here by Papyrus coming through. Can he make something happen? He's got to be careful and time it properly, otherwise he'll get blown up very quickly.
The E just misses as well. He may have to disengage. We'll see how he goes here, Papyrus.
He does sort of get caught by the tether. He is stunned up. Pabu's doing damage. Jumps in by Hayri. Papyrus is low, looking to disengage. Oh. He does get killed by Hayri. Great hit, and there's the flash forward by Pabu and the flash out by Chaz.
In the end, it does just make it a 2 for 3 trade. Gravitas coming out on top, but it was still closer than you would have liked.
Yeah.
Legacy still getting the kills. Decoy basically getting one hit by Chaz on the Syndra. Something that you will probably see for the rest of the game. And that was not the worst case scenario for Legacy by any means, though they do lose control once again of the Dragon Pit.
Oh, it's a big Inferno. Oh, it's a big boy. This is starting to snowball the game towards Gravitas as far as like sort of stats go. 4 dragons. Ooh, it's going to be a 5th one spawning as well. And if that's an Inferno or a Mountain, that's going to be even more of an important objective for Legacy to contest. And it is an Inferno. Oh, that's a big objective.
Wow, talk about some good RNG for your first game of the ODL.
That last fight I thought was very interesting, actually, because it looked like Gravitas had everything. They had the good engage, they got the Fear Beyond Death, but there were sort of deaths happening on Gravitas. Like, Legacy were getting kills back. And I couldn't see where it was from. It was just damage coming out. They do damage, and they can compete with this Gravitas lineup. It isn't one-sided. Despite those 4 dragons, they can get picks, they can get kills, and they can still win this game.
And at this point in the game as well, they're starting to actually finish those items. The one big one remaining is the death cap in the middle lane for Syndra. Once that is on, pretty much everyone is a one-hittable target besides Pabu. That's a big consideration if he can make that happen. Level 16 is also his other big breakpoint. Level 3 in the ultimate. And that was a big part already of what evened out the odds in that last fight.
There's also a 4v5 with Akali joining very late. And if Kali just didn't even try to engage and they ran away, it would have been a 2 for 2. So a lot of things from Legacy to take away from that fight. Yeah, they lost it, and they lost a dragon for it, but like it wasn't terrible. It could have been done better, but there were opportunities there. It wasn't a whitewash.
Now, if I was Gravitas at this stage, you've got the dragons, you're feeling comfortable, you're pretty confident with what you can do now. The last thing that I would say you really need is just that Infinity Edge finished for Raid. Once you've got that 3rd item on the Syndra, it's pretty much lights out for Legacy and team fighting you would expect, or so Gravitas may say, because that's a very big item spike on a champion that shreds through team fights.
Yep, you can see he's working towards it there with the BF. And that should be a little bit away. We should see that in the next couple of minutes, provided he's able to get some farm. Where is he working? He's working in the middle right now, just clearing that wave. So him and Morg just sort of free farming that one.
Yeah, no big surprises to see a Sivir just clearing waves in mid lane. Better priority towards the Baron. And speaking of Baron,
vision is down. No vision at all. TP coming through. So they're going to make a play on this Baron. It's hidden. You cannot see it. There goes the blue trinket. They do know what's happening. They're trying to collapse down. They're trying to burn it.
Too late, though.
It's too late. They've got the dragon. They're going to disengage. Sivir ult comes down, and they're running away. Legacy just not in the right place at the right time.
And during all of this time, Papyrus not having the teleport is on the bottom side of the map. Whether he's spotted or not doesn't matter. Gravitas have the vision. They have the control what's down. They're able to just start it and see how it goes, and no one responds. They don't even need to get the picks before they recommit. They just secure the objective.
Yep, there's 2 mountain dragons, make it go a bit faster.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
Everything up until this point in the game has contributed towards that Baron being taken very quickly. And now they've got a Baron buff. Now the question is, what do they do with this Baron buff? Getting the buff itself, it's a nice little bit of gold, bit of pressure, but you got to turn it into towers to really start snowballing this game in your favor.
They've got the Baron buff. They've got 3 items apiece on Pabu and on Raid now with that Infinity Edge completed. But that's not to say that Legacy's items are pushovers, not to say their composition is a pushover either. They just need to set this one up, Gravitas. Play it a bit more patiently. Get the waves pushing.
Also, we've got Lee Sin getting caught out a little bit here. He's picked off and he's getting stunned out. He's trying to... Akali's jumping out, actually. I thought Lee Sin was caught, but Akali takes a ton of damage. It's like Gravitas faster to collapse down. Raid flash the whole song is in the bush.
Pressed every button.
Oh my goodness, he's still caught him off though. Papyrus trying to get healed up. Can he get a pick here? He has a lot of burst damage. He's looking for something. The heal coming down. He's going to the turret. Executed. Wow.
Big win in the end for Paprise, but still someone dies on the side of Legacy, and that's a real tragedy for them. Gives a lot of time, a lot of opportunities now for Gravitas to at least get control of the map. And we won't speak about what Raid did too much.
No, we won't.
That one.
I'm sure there'll be gifs of it put on our social media.
But he doesn't have a lot of buttons left, is what I will say.
Indeed. Looks like this bot lane is the target for the push here. Another 25 seconds until Paprise is up. Probably another 10 until he can get to a lane. So that's sort of the power time here for Gravitas. Look at this bot turret. Now, there is the LeBlanc in the mid lane pushing. This is a 4v4 in bot here. In the mid lane, they're not really answering the LeBlanc. That should just be a free tower there.
Yeah, this is that big influx of gold that's needed as well going into the pockets. More control on Summoner's Rift as well. They'll get not just one inner turret, but two for certain. They've even got the waves pushing in top lane. You can see on the minimap those red dots.
Yeah, looks like they're disengaging here. Paprise back on the map. It's 5v5. You've taken your 2 turrets. You've got a good amount of gold in the bank. Go home and spend it and keep that advantage going. Anyway, looks like Chaz clearing the bot lane. Looks like right now Legacy just sort of trying to stem the bleeding. They're taking a bit of damage across the board. They've lost 2 more turrets. Gold-wise, they're now behind. I think it's like the first time this game I've noticed it, but they're now down by around 2,000 gold. And with those 4 dragons, that's a bit of a lead for Gravitas. It's really, everything's on them. They get to have all the fun now. They get to make the plays and try and close this game out. Legacy are sort of looking for clever counter plays and that sort of stuff.
Oh, the Sivir ultimate's on here as well, so they're looking for that play right now, Benji.
Kratos and Crazy, a little bit caught out. Bind does go out, hits the Braum. A lot of damage coming down as well. He's going to get picked off very quickly. Diving afterwards, Hayri looking for Kratos, but doesn't commit. That's a 1 for 0.
And doesn't find the chain, but still the kill is all they need. Mid lane has been prepared earlier as well, and Chaz, he's trying to clear the minion waves. He will be successful, but can they stop just the raw tankiness of Gravitas as they push through mid lane?
That turret is going down very quickly. 2 Mountain Dragons plus super minions in the back line there doing damage. Paprise taking a huge chunk as the LeBlanc jumps forward there. Still trying to take this inhibitor. Chaz getting a little bit caught. Pabu popped his ult, but missed as Chaz flashed out of the way. So they will disengage, but they get the inhibitor, and that's great pressure onto the Legacy base.
Yeah, Chaz is trying his little heart out. Try and stop them from pushing, doing the same thing all game, just holding on for his team. Gets trades in team fights, but at the end of the day, you cannot stop a Baron Gravitas pushing forwards when you are missing members of your team, and they're all just getting so easily chunked out by your opponent.
Dragon number 5. That is the last elemental dragon we'll see this game. It is the 3rd Inferno for Gravitas. I'll tell you what, Rusty. If you're playing a game of League, you'll say, all right, you get 5 dragons. That's pretty close to your perfect pick, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah, look, things are going well, I would say, for the boys on the red side. Couldn't ask for more.
Really could. I don't know if this game will go to Elder. Elder will spawn in 7 minutes, I think it is.
Well, Baron is definitely going to be up
Baron's
before
next
that
objective.
one, and I think that may well be the game-ending type of Baron here as well. The stats buff is going up with time, and at 30 minutes, it's a pretty significant buffer that you get for yourself, and almost holistic control will be secured, I would say, by Gravitas at this point. You want to hit that control ward, Pabu? You feeling it?
Whoa, Paprise. Barely
dodging hit that control ward? Yeah.
There it goes. Clears that one out. Vision and top side here. Setting up for this Baron that is spawning in a minute. This could be the game-ending team fight, or it could be Legacy's way back into the game. If they're able to get something out of that fight, just a blind bind. If they can get something out of that Baron fight, maybe they steal the Baron, maybe they get something. They can stabilize. They can use that to stem the bleeding, start coming back in this game.
But that is the question that you have to ask yourselves if you are Legacy. Do we go for the fight around it? Do we just send Guts in, Mission Impossible, try and steal the Baron and extend the duration of this game? The question's being asked now from them, and we'll see how they answer it. They're going.
Oh, Guts goes in. Preylis got caught, but does jump out. Counter engage comes down from Braum as he puts down his ult. Legacy looking to disengage here. And all's well ends well as both teams disengage with no losses.
Yeah, but now the Kai'Sa has to go towards mid lane, has to try and defend and save that from the super minions as they push forwards. Gravitas, with bot lane already pushed, have planted everyone.
Whoa, Chaz and Pabu looking to tag team that one down. Don't quite get it, and they're going to take the turret down regardless.
There you go, easy as you'd like, turret secured, knowing that they had the number advantage, and then they get the chunk on Chaz as well. They move straight to the Baron, it's up in 8 seconds. The recalls should get off here from Legacy, but I doubt they'll get to it in time if Gravitas start it. But they are looking for a pick instead.
Yeah, there's no warp vision in here. Legacy are getting pinned down. Front line here, looks like Pabu jumping in from the back. Huge front line, actually. Braum getting caught. He's killed very quickly, and it looks like Gravitas are going to disengage towards the Baron.
Yeah, the call was just completely disengaged from Legacy as well. Just sacrifice the support but that is all of their vision control on the map that has been sacrificed. And that means if you want to walk into this Baron pit, you are face-checking it. And you're face-checking on Morgana LeBlanc.
Yeah, well, they're going to try anyway. They realize this is the game here. They get this, they're out. Morgana, oh my goodness, binds and kills the jungler. They've got no smite. That dragon is taken for Gravitas, and now Legacy are 2 people down. They're looking to push for the win here.
Yeah, they run straight towards top lane, push it in as fast as they can. They've got the numbers advantage. 35 seconds without the engage of Legacy there. And I don't know if the 3-man carry unit can stop this push by Gravitas. That could just be the end.
Might be the end. They might as well put up a fight, though. First turret in the top lane. Base turret, second turret, base turret goes down. Inhibitor as well. Looks like Legacy coming forward to clear his waves out. The bot lane here is kind of forward. Looks like they're just going to push in with the next wave. And Baron buff. Looks like caught out there, Akali. Getting stunned down, very low. Braum disengaged. Paprise does escape with his life barely, but this is not looking very good for Legacy as their health bars are diminishing. And Fear Beyond Death, Pabu snabs a kill. He's trying to snipe them all day. Sivir, they all go in. This is going to be Legacy getting mopped up. They're getting killed left, right, and center. Guts has respawned. He's trying to make a difference in this fight. Ult goes wide, and looks like Gravitas are turning around, just zoning these people off. Nexus is open, and it looks like our first winner of OPL in 2019 is going to be Gravitas.
Of the first game. Just to clarify that one as well, but it was a clean victory from them in the end. A slow, methodical style of League of Legends, you would say, coming out of them. They knew they had control, and if you ask me, they knew they had the team composition to get that victory as well. All they needed to do was just play good, clean League of Legends and not throw away any early advantages to your opponents. And just like that, they secure that first win.
Absolutely. Congratulations to Gravitas. I'm curious from you, Rusty. Obviously, Gravitas looked very good in that game. I think they had very good rotations. They were taking those objectives well. I want to talk about Legacy a little bit. Like, how did you think they played?
I mean, it's such a hard question to answer. Yeah. How did Legacy play? We barely saw anything from them at all, I think is the problem. They picked a composition that had a lot of engaged tools, but they were drafted into a team they couldn't really engage into. So from what we saw, I can't really give you a good answer. It felt like they didn't really do anything.
I'm going to be curious to see how they evolve in the next few weeks, personally, because I agree with you. They didn't show that much in that game. That bot lane just got shoved in.
Yeah.
I'd like to see how they go. Gravitas, though, out of the gates very well. I think that of the teams in our league, that might have been one that I think they were favourites for, obviously, as you saw the picks earlier from the talent. But I'm curious how they go against some of these other rosters. Obviously, someone like the Chiefs, who have put together a very strong roster.
Yeah.
A lot of very strong teams in this league.
That is the big question for Gravitas from here, because you beat Legacy, sure. Most people predicted that you would beat Legacy, but where is your ceiling as a team? You know, where do you sit in the ladder when there's 8 teams total? Is it the middle, or are you suddenly a team that just is brand new and can push for the top? Is something that we definitely need to find from them.
Yeah, see the players handshaking on the stage there after their win. Gravitas going up 1-0 in the league. Obviously, Legacy 0-1, but they played 21 games. There's still a lot of time for them to come back.
How many games? That's a lot
21
of games.
games. Every team plays 21.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a lot of games.
League of Legends, man.
I'll
Just never ending.
If you go 20-1, that's a good season. So Legacy fans, don't worry. They're going to bounce back. I think this team need a bit of time to get the cohesion going. We'll see how they go over the next few weeks.
Time is definitely their friend, Legacy, for a team that is meant to be building up to something in the future.
Great. Well, thank you for joining us. We're going to throw it back to the couch with one of my top 10 favorite hosts of the OPL of all time. It's Nick Boy.
Damn it, Pabu. Damn it, Benji. Damn it, Legacy. So close. But unfortunately, I might be eating chili tonight. But we'll see. There's still 3 more games. But on the couch, we do have Pabu, my most hated man in the OPL right now. Welcome back. Congratulations on the win. How are you feeling?
Pretty good. That game was, I feel, we died a couple times, right? But it was really good from us. It was really disciplined, and that's been our focus for the last week or so. Is just cleaning up our gameplay, not dying when we don't want to, and just making sure that everything is clean. And yeah, so I'm really happy with how the boys played, and everything went to plan.
I feel like at the beginning there, it could have gone either way. Could have gone your way. Could have gone my way. Bryce was making a lot of weird
obviously
noises.
tipped Legacy, by the way. Like this is you probably wouldn't have seen it because you're playing the game, but.
No, Bryce made some very weird noises up there. But was that just a shaky start, nerves, new team, and that sort of thing? But I feel like by the end, though, it was pretty solid.
Well, I mean, it is Harry's first game, and, you know, he's new to the stage, and they messed up the 2v2, but that's all right. We were taking everything, that was a very conscious fight from us. It was something that we decided to do, and so I'm happy that they went for it. They went for an opportunity. They messed it up. That's fine. They'll do it better next time, so I'm still really happy with how they played, even though it was a bit shaky early.
All right, and so obviously new team coming together, living in a gaming house in Melbourne, traveling, lots of different things to get to used to. Who cooks the best breakfast in the house? Have you yet had Bryce's scrambled eggs?
I have not had the pleasure of trying Bryce's lovely scrambled eggs in the morning, but we've had not much breakfast actually. People cook pretty basic breakfast, but there's some, you know, Jules' Japanese curry is one of the esteemed dinners. So there's some pretty top tier chefs in the house.
That was top tier. Who am I a top tier chef?
No.
It's not like incredible, but it's just standard good, you know.
I'm just a consistent cook.
It's not complex food, you know, but it's like
that.
It's good. It's filling. It gets you thick, you know. It's
Fair enough.
And I guess most of us had a holiday, you know, between September and January. You went overseas, you went to All Stars, you played a couple of best of ones against some people, a rookie, faker, you know, probably people that people at home haven't heard of. What was it like, you know, going over there, getting that international exposure? What did you take away as an OPL player, you know, coming back here?
Going overseas was amazing. I got to meet so many people that I've idolized for so long, and I got to, you know, just like talk to people that I genuinely looked up to as players, and everybody was really cool, and I had a great time. One of the things that I did take away though, I took away from Triple. Triple, when I was going to the Faker 1v1, he was going like, the difference like isn't that big. The gap isn't that big. He's better than you, but you could like, the gap isn't like big enough that you need to worry, right? Like so, and that's one of the things that stuck with me is that like, I can do it. I'm capable of it. I just have to execute. And so that's come like with me into this split as well. And so I'm just trying to take that. That's the best thing that I want to take away is like confidence in myself that I can do what I set out to do.
And a lot of people wouldn't know this, but when you first broke into the OPL, you were a player that flew in and flew out from Melbourne, one of the first fly-in, fly-out players we had because you were still at high school. Now you're back in the best state in Australia.
Indeed.
You're flying up and down. How is it being back in the hometown? Is it, you know, a lot more comfortable than, you know, maybe the muggy, sweaty, dreary state of Sydney?
Yeah, but coffee's 40 cents is extra per cup, so that's messed up.
The Melbourne weather is so much nicer. It's nice to be able to, you know, go see my friends on my off days. And my mum came in and cooked us all breakfast the other day. And so just like nice things like that, you know, do improve the quality of life.
To your former question, Jackson's mum has cooked the best breakfast, like hands down by far.
That makes
I
sense.
will say, you're talking about like Melbourne weather. We literally got on a flight this morning whilst it was raining, but we were stuck on the tarmac, and I swear to God, there was a fire alarm going on. So Melbourne, in my eyes, doesn't have a lot going for it right now.
All right, well, I think the Melbourne Council got their money's worth when they paid off Jake. We're going to throw to a break now. We'll be back with game number 2 in a minute.